Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. Coffee, tea, paper. Oh, should put that down, shouldn't I? My name's Louise and this is the next video in a series where I am sharing my favorite journaling or journaling adjacent books. I talk a bit about what I like about it, what I might not like so much about it, if I've used them or not, or whether they're just purely for inspiration, whether they're aspirational or not, and share them with you. This one is another personal favorite. I am hoping to get the other one that Samantha Dion Baker has done, and she also has another book coming out in July of this year, 2025. So I'm going to be interested to see what that book is about as well. It's actually been 5 years since this book has been published, and I really think it has passed the test of time. It's called Draw Your Day, an Inspiring Guide to Keeping a Sketch Journal by Samantha Dion Baker. It's only quite a small book, but I like it because I think it approximates the size of the journals that she works in herself. Here's a list of the contents. And as always, we'll start off with the blurb about the author, which is in the back here. You might be able to tell that this is one of my favorite go-tos because I have an awful lot of page tabs in it, and much to some people's horror, I imagine, I have also highlighted in it. I'll just try and find a page, and written in it. So I'll just read to you about the author. Samantha Dion Baker is originally from Philadelphia, where she grew up in a family of artists. She graduated from the Cooper Union in New York City and spent over 20 years working as a graphic designer. Now a full-time illustrator and artist, her favorite thing to do is wander the city streets and travel with her family, drawing all of the things she does, eats, and sees in the pages of her sketch journal. She lives and works in Brooklyn with her husband and 2 sons. I also follow her on Instagram, and she's just spent some time in Paris over the Christmas holidays, so it was quite nice to see her sketches and drawings of her trip. She also chose a couple of different formats lately. She did a handmade accordion style, sort of mini journal, and with her family, with their time in France, they kept a family journal which they would pass around at meal times, which she said it helped her to engage more with her family rather than feeling she was disengaging while she was working in her journal. Everyone was taking a turn, and I just think that's such a wonderful, wonderful idea. I'm not sure if my lot would join in. So I have actually highlighted and tagged a lot of things. Some of them I'm not sure if we'll go through here, but I'll have a look at each of them and see if it's of interest. I really like this statement where she says, anyone can capture the essence of a day on paper, whether through words, color, collage, or intricate illustrations, no matter their skill level. That is really the take-home message. It's very easy to get caught up in her amazing illustrations, but it's her job, right? Like she has grown up in a family of artists. She is a graphic designer, and it is her job. So I would expect her journals, and particularly her illustrated journals, to be next level. But that shouldn't stop us normal folk from trying it because it's the joy of creating. It's not necessarily the output. I might just share some of her pages first of all, because they're pretty inspiring, but don't get caught up in just how beautiful they are, please. Okay, here, this one's very text heavy. Here she's I mean, she has this gift of making the very ordinary look beautiful, and I mean, a Fanta can. I just want to share some of those. Oh, these are all over the place. And these are very I mean, look at the florals on here. But it's always interesting because if you read what she's written, she's here got, you know, laundry, plant appreciation, a small frog on a rock. And these ones, look, these are just very small doodles with a lot of text. And this one, I remember she said she just worked on during the day. So she just, as she had a busy day and she was just stopping and starting and stopping and starting, she just almost did like a circular spiral of what was involved in that day. So she starts off, she always has the date in there somewhere. She tends to vary it up through mixing font style, font size. Get 2 boys off to school solo. Feed, so that's a local cafe near where she lives. So that's feed. Cortado, before Tabata class at the gym. So a cortado is a type of coffee, a bit like a flat white. Quick 1 hour at computer. Columbus Circle for dental cleaning. I'm guessing this is probably a subway line or bus route. They are 30 minutes behind schedule. She's got an angry face. Back to Brooklyn. Takeout salad. Quick lunch. Old school. Landline call. I mean, pretty ordinary stuff. It just looks like a typical kind of mum day, really. This one I really like because here she's just done everything basically in shades of blue and sort of indigos with just a little bit of other colour. This one, it's all kind of yellows and goldens and browns and those sorts of things. Another kind of text heavy one, but with just some really quite more involved drawings in here. This one, she tends to note the weather a lot, so even without anything else, it's always the date and the weather, a mix of font styles, text size. She also does include collage on her pages. It just doesn't come across so well in this book because it's very flat, and so you lose those textural elements. Harking back to that, you know, you don't need to have an artist's skill or ability to document your day. You don't need to include doodles. It can just be words, but if you want to make it more interesting, just mixing up, you know, what handwriting you use, what pen you use, the size of your writing, etc. But this is a really nice reminder because we do get caught up thinking, oh, my life's not that exciting. I don't live in Brooklyn. I don't go on holidays to Paris all the time. Most of my time I'm ferrying children around, doing grocery shopping, trying to think what to feed everybody, doing washing, you know, working on my side hustles to try and get a little bit of income here and there to supplement the family income. My husband are very busy with his job, and it's no longer viable for me to work in my chosen profession because, you know, we got to the point where both our careers were at a tipping point and we couldn't do both. We had to choose one or the other. So you think, oh gosh, well, my day's not so interesting, is it? But I'll just read this passage to you. A day doing laundry, cleaning the house, only getting outside to go to the grocery store, or having so much work that I don't leave my desk. These are the days that I especially want to breathe life into a journal page, because these are the days that are typically forgotten, that blend into the week, the month, the year. What if I draw the cobblestones on the street by the market, or the lid to the laundry detergent bottle? What if I draw the garbage cans behind our building, which I pass several times a day? What if I draw the food items I bought for tonight's dinner? Pages with everyday subjects like these are the most popular of the pages I share on social media because we like to find ways to relate to each other through the ordinary. I love that. I love that those drawings of cobblestones and rubbish bins are the most popular on social media because it is something that we can all relate to. We all have rubbish that we have to take out. She says, you will remember the day you worked at the computer, did 4 loads of laundry, and went outside for a quick walk. That doesn't sound like the most exciting day, does it? But when you capture a carefully chosen glimpse of this fleeting day, then suddenly, at least on paper, that day is made memorable. It was an ordinary day preserved on a single page. Our lives are made up of the mundane. It's not often if we only did our travel journals when we're traveling, like unless we're airline flight attendants or international spies, then generally our traveling is something that we don't get to do all that regularly. When I used to travel a lot for work, it wasn't glamorous, let's put it that way. This one in this chapter called Now It's Time to Draw, because these first chapters, if we go back to the table of contents, getting started. So the benefits of drawing practice, creating drawing practice, celebrating your mistakes, tools, materials, inspiration, and now it's time to draw. Creative journaling is not meant to be a burden on your life, but a way to accentuate, relax, and celebrate. And she does talk about what sort of tools that she uses, which I personally appreciate, but it's other people like to explore their own media, especially if they're starting out. And this is another good reminder. It is perfectly okay to draw like your 6 or 8-year-old self. And she makes the point that a lot of us stop at that age or after that age because you might not have art included in school, you're too busy focused on other aspects of learning or working or any one of those things that all you lose touch with that creative part of your life. So if you haven't drawn or sketched or arted, as we say, not farted, arted, for 20, 30, 40 years plus, then you have to expect, well, you've got to sort of start where you stopped. And if you stopped when you were 6 or 8 or 10 or 12, that's probably the level that you can expect that you should start at. And I thought that was an absolutely wonderful, wonderful observation. And yes, quite profound. Oh, here I got excited because she said that, she likes the black wing pencil, but the eraser doesn't work that well. I thought it was just me, but I was all excited that somebody else has had that experience as well. She really likes this Swisswood pencil by Caran d'Ache, and I must admit I have looked at it and I think, wow, it's amazing. It looks beautiful and it smells beautiful, and yeah, would be a pleasure to sharpen. So that is on my wish list to try and find one at some point during the year. I want to get some white gouache. She talks about different materials she uses, watercolors, the pens and markers and so forth, and she talks about adding highlights with white gouache, and that has been on my list of things to add to my collection of supplies when I do watercoloring. So we had a look up to that, didn't we? Oh, she has a list of suggestions. So if you're struggling with, okay, well, yeah, my ordinary day, and yeah, look, how many times can I draw the rubbish bins? And she's got a whole list of suggestions about things that you can draw or write about. So, don't forget writing as well. You don't have to draw. Or you could include photos. Write and include photos if you really, really just don't want to draw or sketch. coffee can or bag, tea bag or box, your favorite coffee mug, excerpts from books, road maps, song lyrics, found patterns, product packaging, makeup, and she makes the observation that it really is endless. And here she talks about her process. She says, most of the time I tackle drawing pages in 3 simple steps. Number 1, a loose sketch in pencil. Number 2, she goes over the pencil in ink. And third, she adds color. And then she talks a bit, because she's a graphic designer, about how she sets out her pages. So she talks about going in a spiral, or she talks about blocking out spaces on the page. And then she gives a little example here of, you know, and relative scale and stuff like that, and ways to add ink. And so this is quite interesting to see the progression of these pages from her initial concept for her day, note the date, the weather, and then how it's progressed. She does talk about using collage. That's something that I enjoy doing as well. She talks about different things that you can collage with, but she also talks about how to relate it back to other things on your page. And she says, you know, if she has a pattern on some paper that she's torn up to put in on her page, she'll echo parts of it elsewhere, so it becomes camouflaged. Here you can see she has actually, I mean, you can see what I mean by it's quite difficult to get that idea of the texture on these reproductions of her journal pages. But you can see here that these items have been torn and collaged on the page, and she's made that kind of bleed into her own drawings and text here by just continuing the color and having a soft edge by using watercolor there. It's a really nice idea. Things you can use for collage, so she's got a whole list of suggestions. I've actually added, because, you know, I've also added in things that I like to add in for collage as well. So she's got a whole bunch of good things there, but I also added in things like bottle labels, napkins or serviettes, tickets, clothing tags, brochures, maps, postcards. They are all things that you can collage with. I mean, you can collage with anything, let's face it. Anything that can be rendered flat and glued. She does talk about typography. So here we've got more of the examples. So I just love poring over all her pages in here. There's just so much variation. And what have I got here? Oh yeah, I love this. I love this quote that she's included from Ralph Waldo Emerson, which is not just applicable to journaling, but just a general, you know, life motto, I guess. And it is, write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. We all struggle. We have good days and we have bad days and we have days that really, really suck. But they are important because they are the milestones of our lives, and even though it may not be wonderful memories, they are still important memories. In conclusion, she's written a beautiful conclusion, and I will just read that to you. She says, life takes so many interesting and unexpected turns. Drawing, painting, and writing about your days can provide you with a sense of peace and a deeper understanding of your thoughts and dreams. I know that drawing can be humbling and sometimes frustrating when you first begin, but if you practice a little bit each day, you will see gratifying improvement. It is important to remember that you can approach your sketch journal from so many creative angles, expressing and releasing your memories and creativity simultaneously. I realize that keeping an illustrated visual sketch journal is not for everyone, but I am quite certain that if I sat down with even my most non-drawing friends, I would be able to convince them that there is a way for anyone to have a similar practice. You don't have to be able to draw the same way that I do. You don't even have to draw at all. Write and splash some colour on your pages as you keep track of the places you go and the things you do. Make thought bubbles. Rub some colour around a particular memory you write about. Glue down a piece of your playbill after you go to the theatre, and then make the prominent colour for that page bright yellow. Make little stick figures, engage in a conversation on top of a fun patterned tissue paper found in your shopping bag. If you feel overwhelmed by the possibilities, then my work is done. Most importantly, have fun and enjoy the creative freedom of experimenting as you draw your day. And I just love that. I really do. Unfortunately, I think many people who could possibly get the most benefit out of this book are probably the people who will never pick it up. That's the irony. It's one of my absolute favorites. She does have some resources with some tools and materials. She lifts out some specific brands here. And when you look at it, there's she hasn't actually listed a lot because she's just done it alphabetically, right? So she hasn't sort of grouped by category. And her go-to watercolor set is a Koi Pocket Field Sketch Box, which is quite an affordable watercolor set. I mean, you wouldn't get everything that she recommends, but she has sort of given you a good starting point of basically some sort of pencil, pen, color. I would love to just go through and do a complete flip through of every single page for you. Great reminder. But this video is probably already long enough as it is. I will be very interested. I'm tossing up about whether to get her other book or whether I just wait and see about her new book that's coming out. And I just love it. I even love the design of it with the rounded corners and just the quality of the paper. It's such a nice size. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Thank you so much for being here and for listening to me rabbit on once again and going a bit fangirl and gushy today. Let me know if you have this book or if you have her other book as well, and if you have both of them, which is your favorite. Is this something that you would consider adding to your journal lineup? Let me know. I'm going to say bye for now until the next video.